Praise the Lord! There seems to have been an outbreak of common sense at number 10. Britain is to open its first coal mine in 30 years. Michael Gove, the Levelling Up Secretary and Aberdeen nightclub dweller, gave the green light for the project on Wednesday, paving the way for an estimated investment of £165 million that will create 500 new jobs in the region and produce 2.8 million tonnes of coal a year, largely for steel making. For too long now, the green agenda, which has seen us ignore the colossal natural resources on our own shores, has exposed us to unscrupulous regimes like Saudi Arabia and, of course, Vladimir Putin's Russia for our supplies of fossil fuels. In the West, we've indulged in the eye-watering hypocrisy of decarbonising our own country whilst importing coal, oil and gas from other nations, creating the illusion that we've gone green. That's what I call cooking the books. It's unforgivable that we face a winter energy crisis, given the fact that we have beneath our feet an estimated 2 to 3 decades worth of shale, a potential 3 decades worth of natural gas and oil, and upwards of 100 years of coal. Now, I want to clean up the planet and get those carbon emissions down. I'm no climate change denier, and I don't think it's a hoax. But whatever your view, who doesn't want clean, green, sustainable, cheap energy? Who doesn't want cleaner air? Who doesn't want to hand the planet to future generations in better condition than we found it? After all, it was a focused effort to clean up the air in Dickensian London, which saw off a public health crisis due to shocking air quality and that famous pea super fog. So where there's a will, there's a way. But the transition to a more eco-conscious, planet-friendly economy must be a gradual one, which sees investment in green tech and innovation, in which we are a world leader, but which also sees us take advantage of the vast natural resources at our disposal. If you think that importing coal from somewhere else makes more sense than digging our own, generating jobs and a national income, then I can't help you. During the pandemic, COVID measures were handed down as a fait accompli, with the government effectively dispensing with democracy for a couple of years in what was, in my view, a doomed experiment to control a virus. With the eco agenda, we are once again guinea pigs in an experiment, this time to clean up the planet. As with the COVID measures, the current eco agenda looks set to expose this country to a lower standard of living, higher debt because green renewables are flaky and eye-wateringly expensive, and a further encroachment on our way of life. I mentioned in my monologue, whilst sitting in for the excellent Mark Stein this week, that the city of Oxford is already rolling out plans for a climate lockdown in which residents will only be allowed to drive in certain streets on certain days of the year, and being forced to stay in their own zones, which has, I think you'll agree, terrifying echoes of communist China. I've got no doubt that in time the government will try to forcibly ration energy and give us all some kind of hellish carbon allowance, which means that once we've done a couple of flights a year, driven our kids to school and heated the living room, we've used up all of our tokens and will be left shivering in our homes, unable even to turn on the kettle and make a cup of tea. How do you like yours? For me, quite weak, full-fat milk, no sugar thanks. If every country in the world was embarking on this push for net zero, I guess it would have some merit. But why should us Brits make ourselves poorer and colder whilst countries like the USA, Brazil, India and China burn fossil fuels for fun? I think the push for net zero is another element of liberal progressivism, which is infecting the West. Now they're ruining energy policy. Go woke, no smoke. I've always said when it comes to energy, we need a mix. Long-term, nuclear and renewables. I've got no problem with that. But in the short to medium term, coal, oil and gas must play their part. And given that we've got so much of it here, my message is a clear one. Drill, baby, drill.